The Galactic Council chamber was filled with an unnatural silence. It wasn't just the quiet of deep thought. It was the stillness of pure, unfiltered shock. Seated in the Grand Assembly were representatives from over 200 intelligent species, each from vastly different worlds, with unique biologies and cultures. Yet, at that moment, they all had the same stunned expression. Their eyes were fixed on the massive holoscreen floating in the center of the chamber. Displayed on it was a simple report, one that contained information on a newly discovered species, humans. A species that had emerged from a deaf world. The silence was finally broken when Ambassador Grilak of the Valeri, a species known for their meticulous record-keeping and careful diplomacy, turned to the lone human representative in the room. His three eyes blinked in rapid succession, a clear sign of distress. "This must be a mistake," he said slowly, his voice trembling. "Your world is completely uninhabitable by all common standards." Captain Elias Carter, the assigned human ambassador, leaned back in his chair, his brow furrowed. "Excuse me?" The holoscreen shifted, displaying detailed environmental data of Earth, humanity's homeworld. Gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared, considered dangerously high for most known species. Atmosphere, oxygen-rich and environment prone to rapid combustion. Climate, extreme temperature variations, from -89 degrees Celsius to 58 degrees Celsius. Fauna, thousands of deadly predators, from microscopic viruses to massive apex hunters. Geology, unstable, frequent earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. Weather, storms capable of leveling cities, winds faster than most spacecraft takeoff speeds. And then the most shocking fact of all. Humanity not only survived but thrived in these conditions. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Some of the delegates turned to their aides, whispering urgently in their own languages. Others simply stared at Elias in a mixture of horror and disbelief. The representative of the Cytherian species, whose people lived in underground colonies to avoid the dangers of their home mild sun, seemed to be shaking. His voice came out in a whisper. How did your species not go extinct?" Elias blinked. "We evolved." The room fell into another heavy silence. Ambassador Grilak hesitated before speaking again. "Your species was not placed there? As a punishment, perhaps?" Elias let out a short laugh. "No. Earth is our home. Always has been." The moment those words left his mouth, the chamber erupted into chaos. Some delegates recoiled in their seats as if he had just told them he was a walking plague. Others immediately began typing on communication devices, likely sending urgent reports back to their home governments. The Galactic Council had long classified planets based on their habitability. A paradise world had mild weather, no natural predators, and stable ecosystems, perfect for most species. A neutral world was habitable, but contained some environmental dangers. A death world was a place where survival was nearly impossible. Earth, it seemed, was one of the most dangerous death worlds ever discovered. Ambassador Vorth, a reptilian Zeldar known for his species' cold and calculating nature, narrowed his gaze. "Your people must have a very low population due to these extreme conditions." Elias smirked. "Actually, we're over 8 billion. The silence that followed was deafening. A delegate from the small bird-like Felidary species fainted on the spot. Grilak slowly rubbed his temples. "Your species not only survived, but multiplied." Elias crossed his arms. "Yeah, is that weird?" The chamber exploded again with exclamations of disbelief. One of the aquatic Yvani representatives, whose species lived in gentle oceans with no natural predators, looked physically ill. "You evolved among monsters, and you thrived. Your world is filled with creatures that could wipe out entire colonies. You walk on land where fire falls from the sky. Your oceans are filled with death. Even your own atmosphere tries to kill you. And yet, you became the dominant species." Elias thought about it for a second. "Well, yeah." Ambassador Grilak took a deep breath. "Captain Carter, do you understand how impossible your existence is?" Elias shrugged. "No?" Grilak continued, his voice growing heavier. There are only 3 known death world species in the galaxy. 2 of them went extinct before reaching the Industrial Age. The third, the Gruncar, were discovered still in their Stone Age, and they had already wiped themselves out through war. You are the first death world species to join the galactic community. Elias smiled. That's kinda cool. The delegates flinched at his casual response. Ambassador Vorth, his reptilian features unreadable, asked, "How do your people handle such an environment? Surely you rely on protective measures." Elias chuckled. "Nope, we just adapt." The holo screen changed again, showing footage of humans surviving extreme conditions. A man swimming through Arctic waters without protective gear. A woman climbing a 7,000-meter mountain with minimal equipment. Soldiers walking through battlefields filled with fire and explosions. Astronauts floating in the vacuum of space. The council members stared in absolute horror. Ambassador Vorth muttered, "You are terrifying." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Why? We're not the ones afraid of the dark." The room fell silent once more. That was the moment the Galactic Council realized something truly terrifying. Humanity didn't just survive on Earth. They conquered it. They bent nature to their will. They reshaped landscapes, tamed predators, harnessed fire, split atoms, and reached for the stars. While other species built civilizations in harmony with their environments, humans treated their world as an opponent to be defeated. And they won. Ambassador Grillak's voice was barely above a whisper, and if you ever saw the rest of the galaxy as a threat. Elias smirked. "We'd adapt." At that moment, the council cast their votes. Unanimously, they accepted humanity as a member of the Galactic Federation. But deep down, every representative left that day with the same unsettling thought. If humans could thrive on a death world, what could they do anywhere else? End of story.